The moment Marcus Chen pushed through the emergency room doors at 9:47 a.m., soaked in someone else's blood, he knew his life was about to fall apart. His phone had been vibrating in his pocket. For the last 20 minutes, 17 missed calls from his supervisor, 4 texts from HR, and one final message that made his stomach drop. "You're terminated effective immediately. Clear out your desk by EOD." He stared at the screen, hands still trembling from adrenaline, and felt the weight of single parenthood crash down on him like a concrete wall. No job meant no health insurance for Sophie. No income meant no rent. No explanation would matter to a company that had already replaced him. But 3 hours earlier, when he'd seen that woman collapse on the subway platform, turning back simply wasn't an option. Marcus had been running late already that Tuesday morning. Sophie's inhaler had gone, missing during the chaos of getting her ready for school. And by the time he'd found it wedged behind her dresser, they were already 15 minutes behind schedule. He'd dropped his 8-year-old daughter at the elementary school entrance with a quick kiss on her forehead, her backpack bouncing as she ran toward her friends, and then sprinted toward the metro station. The Green Line platform was packed with the usual morning crowd. Business people scrolling through phones, students with enormous headphones, delivery workers checking route schedules. Marcus wedged himself near the yellow safety line, mentally calculating whether he could still make his 9 a.m. shift at the warehouse if the next train arrived in 3 minutes. His supervisor, Derek, had already written him up twice this month. One more infraction, Derek had warned, and Marcus would be out. That's when he heard the sound, a soft gasp, barely audible over the rumble of an approaching train, followed by the heavy thud of a body hitting concrete. A woman in an expensive charcoal suit had crumpled to the platform floor, her designer briefcase skidding toward the edge. She was maybe in her 50s, with silver-streaked hair and a face that had gone terrifyingly pale. Around her, people had frozen in that peculiar urban paralysis. Everyone looking, but nobody moving. The train was getting closer. Its headlights had appeared in the tunnel. Marcus didn't think. He dropped his lunch bag and pushed through the crowd, falling to his knees beside the unconscious woman. Her pulse was rapid and thready under his fingertips. Blood was trickling from where her head had struck the platform. The train's brakes were beginning to squeal. "Call 911!" Marcus shouted to the frozen crowd. He checked her breathing, shallow, but present, and carefully turned her into the recovery position, one hand cradling her head to protect the injury. His EMT training from a decade ago, before Sophie was born and life got complicated, came flooding back. The woman's lips had a bluish tint. Possible cardiac event. Possible stroke. Definitely serious. Someone finally pulled out a phone. The train had stopped, doors opening and closing in. Confusion as the conductor tried to understand the commotion. Marcus stayed focused on the woman, talking to her steadily even though she couldn't respond, monitoring her vitals, keeping her stable. Another bystander brought paper towels from a coffee shop for the head wound. 5 minutes passed, then 10. "You need to go," a young guy in scrubs said, appearing beside Marcus. "I'm a nurse. I can take over until EMS arrives." Marcus hesitated, looking down at the woman whose life he held in his hands. Quite literally. In the distance, sirens were approaching. His phone buzzed again, Derek calling, probably to ask where the hell he was. The choice should have been simple. He had a daughter depending on him. He had bills stacked on the kitchen counter. He had exactly $347 in his checking account, but he couldn't leave. Not until he knew she was okay. "I'll stay until the paramedics arrive," Marcus said quietly, and the nurse nodded with understanding. 15 more minutes evaporated. The EMTs arrived, professional and efficient, loading the woman onto a stretcher. One of them, A veteran with kind eyes gripped Marcus's shoulder. You saved her life, man. That head injury could have been bad, but keeping her stable probably prevented brain damage. You did good. Marcus had smiled weakly and watched the ambulance pull away, its lights painting the street in urgent reds and blues. Only then did he look at his phone and see the avalanche of messages. Only then did the reality hit him. He'd just sacrificed everything for a stranger. Now standing in the hospital lobby with blood on his shirt and determination. Notice on his phone, Marcus felt hollow. He should go home. He should start figuring out how to explain to Sophie that Daddy lost his job again. She was so proud when he'd gotten the warehouse position 6 months ago, had drawn a celebration picture of him in a hard hat that still hung on their refrigerator. Excuse me? Are you Marcus Chen? He turned to find a hospital administrator approaching, clipboard in hand. Behind her was a younger woman in a sharp business suit, tablet tucked under her arm. That's me, Marcus said tiredly. Is she okay? The woman from the subway? Ms. Whitmore is stable and conscious, the administrator said with a warm smile. She's asking for you. She'd like to thank you personally if you have a moment. Marcus followed them through the sterile corridors, his work boots squeaking on the polished floors. They led him to a private room where the woman from the subway sat propped against pillows, looking exhausted but alive. The bluish tint was gone from her lips. A neat bandage covered her temple, and her eyes, sharp and intelligent, were studying Marcus with an intensity that made him shift uncomfortably. Mr. Chen, she said, her voice stronger than he expected, I'm told you're the reason I'm still breathing. Catherine Whitmore. She extended her hand, and Marcus shook it carefully, aware of the IV line taped to her wrist. I just did what anyone would do, he mumbled. Anyone didn't, Catherine said pointedly. There were 200 people on that platform. You were the only one who moved. My assistant tells me you stayed with me for over half an hour. Her gaze dropped to his work shirt, to the employee badge still clipped to his pocket, and that you were late to work because of it. Marcus's throat tightened. It's fine. It was worth it. Were you fired? The directness of the question caught him off guard. Marcus considered lying, but something in Catherine's expression, a mix of concern and determination, made him tell the truth. Yeah, terminated effective immediately. But honestly, that's not your concern. I'm just glad you're okay. I should probably go. Mr. Chen, do you know what I do for a living? He shook his head, confused by the question. Catherine smiled, and it transformed her entire face. I'm the CEO of Whitmore Industries. We own 43 companies across North America, including, she paused meaningfully, the logistics corporation that operates the warehouse where you worked. Marcus felt the room tilt slightly. I've already made some calls, Catherine continued. Your supervisor, Derek Morrison, has been placed on administrative leave pending an investigation into several discriminatory practices. You're reinstated effective immediately with back pay, and I'm transferring you to our flagship distribution center with a promotion to operations coordinator. Better hours, better pay, full benefits package. I can't. Marcus couldn't find words. You can and you will, Catherine said firmly. Because people like you, people who act when it matters, who choose compassion over convenience, are exactly who should be leading in my companies. You didn't help me because you knew who I was. You helped me because it was right. Her voice softened. I read your employment file, Marcus. Single father, working double shifts, never complained, perfect safety record. You deserve this opportunity, and I'm in a position to give it to you. Tears were sliding down Marcus's face before he could stop them. He thought of Sophie, of her inhaler and her drawings, and her bright future that suddenly felt possible again. Thank you, he whispered. Thank you so much. Thank you for reminding me what really matters, Catherine replied. In my world, it's easy to forget that kindness is the most valuable currency there is. You taught me that today. That evening, Marcus picked up Sophie from after school, care and took her for ice cream, something they rarely could afford. As she chattered about her day, chocolate chip mint dripping down her chin, Marcus thought about the strange, beautiful unpredictability of life. How one choice, made from the heart rather than the head, could change everything. Daddy, why are you smiling so much? Sophie asked. Marcus reached across the table and took his daughter's hand. Because I learned something important today, sweetheart. Being kind is never a mistake. Even when it's hard, even when it costs you something, it always matters. That's what you always tell me, Sophie said wisely. Yeah, Marcus agreed, his smile widening. I guess sometimes grown-ups need reminding too. 3 months later, Marcus would start a company-wide training program on emergency response, ensuring that more employees could react the way he had. Catherine Whitmore would become not just his boss, but a mentor and friend, and later Sophie's unofficial grandmother. But on that ice-cream-stained evening, Marcus simply sat with his daughter and felt grateful for a world where doing the right thing, even when it's the hardest thing, could lead you exactly where you were meant to be.